Like nothing really made sense to me until I found surfing, and then once I found surfing, that's all I really wanted to do and I wanted to focus in and around. I started surfing really with the junior lifeguard program. That was what first gave me access to understanding the ocean and reading this language of the sea. When I was a kid, I just wanted to go surfing with my dad. You know, he was really into the Beach Boys and like surfing and all that stuff. My dad's like, hey, you learn the ocean, you learn the tides, you learn the rhythms of the water, and then I'll take you surfing with me. So the whole summer when I was 14, I did junior lifeguard program. So we learn about the tides and the rip currents, and then we're running and we're swimming and we're doing all this cool physical activity, getting really strong and fit for the water. So many people now, they learn how to get up on a wave and they know nothing about the language of the ocean. I think I learned in reverse. So I think it really helped me both to feel comfortable in the water, and it also gave me an awareness on the language that the ocean speaks. So learning to surf and get up on a board from that point was easy. It was really cool because I think we both inspired each other. Once I wanted to start surfing, it gave him somebody to go surfing with. So Leo Carrillo's always been like a super special place to me, and I'm really excited to go spend some time there today on Earth Day, which is amazing. It's my favorite day of the year. After all the rain we've had, there's so many wildflowers. I've never seen this many flowers growing in Malibu in my whole life. People are calling it the super blooms of California. And we got more rain this year than ever has been recorded in the history of California. So it's a really special time and it's gonna be gorgeous. It's not how did you become a pro surfer, it's like why? And that's what I try to inspire other kids for. Dude, just do it because you love it. I love surfing. I grew up with the ocean and the people at the beach more so than I grew up with anybody at school. I was also always hanging out with older people in a different peer group because I was like one of the young kids and a lot of the people were much older. And because I think I rode a longboard and spent a lot of time at Malibu, everybody there was really interested in the history of surfing and where it came from. It was almost like a time warp. Even though it was like the late 90s, early 2000s, we were always looking at the 50s and 60s and some of the 70s too as like the time. You know, my favorite movie as a kid growing up surfing was 5 Summer Stories, which was like an old surf movie from like the 70s. You know, I was really into watching old surf films. So people like Linda Benson were really inspiring to me. People like Rel Sun. So some of the first women, you know, Joyce Hoffman, people like that, that were really braving the way for women surfing. You know, Linda Benson being the first woman, to ever surf Waimea. And she won a contest when she was 15 at Makaha, and she was from California, so that was really cool. When I was a kid, those were the people I really looked up to. Growing up and surfing all the most perfect point breaks ever, C Street, Leo Carrillo, Malibu, First Point, or Topanga, being on a longboard was ideal. And also there was just something about longboarding to me, I think that I would have tended towards no matter where I lived. There's just like kind of like this elegant dance and flow and this classic feeling and vibe that I get from a classic longboard that I think is what kind of got me into a romantic fantasy with surfing in the first place.
I've known Kassia long enough. She's totally an urban legend, you know, in her own right. And she grew up here, so she has that vibration through her own community and being known by different people and at different breaks. And she's a collector in the water. She likes surfing with lots of people, which I think is so beautiful.
Yeah, I love bringing people together, you know, because it is something. It's like the sound bass, I love it because I love to give. I receive from it by giving. You know, it's like this kind of in and out breath. And I love holding space for people. I love bringing people together in cool ways. You know, and I guess, yeah, in a lot of ways, that's what surfing is to me. That's why, like, I enjoy surfing with my friends so much. I love just going to these events, not to compete, but to, like, just surf with my friends, you know, and cheer each other on. Because I think for me, it's about holding each other up. I think working with sound and vibrational therapy, some people call it sound healing, came to me in the same way that surfing came to me. I was first introduced to it in 2008, and I didn't even know what I was walking into. And I was like, oh my gosh. 3 years later, I knew it was time to move back to LA. And I'm walking down the street and I see a singing bowl. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I need that. So I walk in and I start just playing it. So instantly I could play it. I really resonated with it, and it really felt like surfing sound waves, you know? I called up my friend who was an amazing musician, and she's like, oh my gosh, I have to call my music partner, Dave. So we call him, he comes over and he brings his lap steel. So all of a sudden we're playing, like day after day, more people are coming. All of a sudden we get 7 bowls because they all align to the each chakra. We're playing and playing and playing all the time. We ended up forming a band called UFO 2012. We made records with art galleries, and we even went on tour. We made a documentary. It's not so much a band, but UFO is more like our movement, our like meditation group, I guess. And coming to the Integratron was like the perfect place. For me, this is where like a little love affair with Crystal Bowl started. Something that was like giving me a new experience, and I dove into it the same way I dove into surfing. I was like, this is what's up, and it's rad. And then at the end of 2012, we all decided like, hey, this was amazing, but like we all have to get back to our lives. That's when I left Roxy and took some time to start my own brand, and my other friends went on to like do music production companies or, you know, go on tour, like all these other things. Everybody disbanded. But me and one of the guys from the group, we're becoming more and more interested in the healing elements of sound, not the performance art piece of it. And so we just started researching, and you know, since then I've studied deeper layers of sound and vibrational therapy, understood a lot more about the science behind it and why it works. because like things resonate at the same frequency. So it's like by keeping our frequencies light and clear, it helps to keep like everything light and clear around us. And we affect our loved ones, our families, our coworkers. And I really feel like it comes naturally because it feels like surfing. So I love the sound. I like to make things with other people because then it's a co-creative experience, and together there's so much more to inspire, so much more to empower, so much more to lift in a harmonious way. And that's like what I wish to do with my company, is like support the next generation with sound, with surfing. You know, I remember when I was young, and somebody came up to me that was a breast cancer survivor. And I was young at the time, I was maybe 17, 18. And it was before my mother dealt with breast cancer herself. And she was like, when I was like going through chemo, I had a picture of you on my wall, and like your stoke made me want to keep going. And I was like, that's why I do this. Like, I couldn't even believe it. I was like so humbled to have that like experience with her. Like, it makes me almost want to cry right now. For me, like riding a wave on a piece of foam in the ocean, there's so many more things that I can do with my life that are gonna help people. But having that moment with that woman, I was like, oh, this is what it's about. Like, the joy that I get from this and bringing people together inspired you when you were going through a hard time. That is worth it to me.